In things that are cherished, it is said that a soul dwells. Then what dwells in trash that has been discarded? Gachiakuta, written and drawn by Kei Urana, is the newest manga in Weekly Shonen Magazine that has hit the manga community like crack in the 80s with only one chapter out. Promoted as a story about a young boy's revenge on the world that wronged him, Gachiakuta has me very excited for its contents and where the story could lead. Not yet officially translated into English, Gachiakuta has been picked up by unofficial translators in order to bring this already popular manga to everyone possible. Check the description below for more information on that though. In this video, I'll not only be reviewing the first chapter, but giving a little background to the mangaka and what I expect from this series in the future. So sit back, share this video, and prepare to be entertained. Kei Urana is first and foremost a young female mangaka who was once the assistant to Atsushi Ohkubo, creator of Soul Eater and Fire Force. Specifically, Ohkubo tweeted about Kei when her manga was announced, saying she was a huge fan of Soul Eater and that she was cooler than him. He even proceeded to say that she was his successor, meaning she would be taking up his mantle in Weekly Shonen Magazine. It was this cosign from Ohkubo that really put Gachiakuta on the map outside Japan. I personally saw the announcement prior, but it wasn't until I read Ohkubo's tweets that it truly grabbed my interest. The concept at a surface level is a shonen revenge story, but after reading the first chapter, there were many nuances placed within the 78 pages that I couldn't help but feel compelled to follow the story, and knowing it's weekly with such an astonishing art style has me so excited. Kei also has created 2 one-shots prior to getting serialization. I'll link those below. So it's really exciting to see her receive her own series, and she isn't wasting any time making it exciting. So without further ado, let's get into the review. At the beginning of the first chapter, we are instantly thrust into deep thought about our personal definition of trash and treasure due to Kei narrating this current state of the world Gachiakuta is set in. The inclusion of trash versus treasure as a core concept of the series places a lot of emphasis on value, meaning the story is clearly trying to tell a deeper tale. We are shown a little girl crying about her stuffed animal ripping, and instead of getting it fixed, her mother declares it is trash and disposes of it. We are then thrust into the perspective of Rudolph, our main character who is rummaging through garbage as he's being spotted by a guard. The art here is fantastic, giving off gritty yet almost cartoonish vibe as we get to see Rudolph escape from the guards trying to capture him, showcasing a bit of his agility and speed. He's damn cool to see move, and the fluidity of the art stays consistent throughout this entire chapter. Rudolph gets pretty pissed about being called a vandal, then we shift over to a new character while there are panels of them walking in a new area. This area is the opposite rich side, the apparent place where those who have money reside. The character we are introduced to here is of course Rudolph, Rudolph's mentor. He is what they call a tribe folk. We know this initially due to the women gossiping in town about him being there. All Rudolph does is bow out the ladies he sees as they also talk about the rumored trash vandal, aka Rudolph. What really interests me here is the blatant prejudice displayed for these people. The rich have an obvious disdain yet still won't say anything directly, and it's obvious the tribe folk know they are disliked. All of this is textbook classism, but when we get a more lore on the world, there is a hint of racism involved that interests me just as much, turning Gachiakuta into a more socio-economic themed core story. Rudolph was sitting alone when his friend Chiwa approaches him, asking if he went to collect trash again. She lectures him about waste control. This is of course doubles as Rudolph being scolded for character relationship development, but also giving the reader more context of the seriousness of Rudolph's crimes. This is majorly different than Hunter x Hunter, you say, where Meteor City is a place for trash and anyone can do anything there. Here in Rudolph's slums, handling trash or waste is prohibited, probably more strictly than in real life. Rudolph makes the point that the rich people throw away stuff they can still use, once again touching on the surface level concept of social differences due to economic boundaries. Suddenly, a young boy approaches the two, emphasizing how Rudolph stinks and how his gloves are raggedy. Just like in real life, the young boy is a textbook display of wanting to look down on someone to feel better about yourself, bringing up how Rudolph is son of a murderer, trying to belittle him. He continues by explaining how the slum used to be a place for criminals who were exiled and that all of them are their descendants, but Rudolph's dad went around killing people and ruining everything. That is super suspicious to me. What is ruining everything? That's also why I believe there is some racial issues going on, because why would you put a bunch of criminals together in one place for exile? Why not prisons, detainment centers? Why let them reproduce and continue to punish their kids for their parents' crimes? And why call them tribe folk? I think these people are a certain kind of people or race, maybe. Hence me saying it could be possibly be some deeper racial tones within the story, but we'll have to see. Rudolph gets the boys to run off, and Rudolph tries to give her, Chiwa, the stuffed animal he found while dumpster diving, but she's called away by her mother without taking it, crushing my son. The next bits of the manga give more introspection of Rudolph and Rudolph's relationship, along with little background of Rudolph's upbringing. After being teased by Rudolph for failing to express his feelings for Chiwa, he brings him back to his residence to discuss his dumpster diving. The true reason Rudolph is dumpster diving is to sell items that can be of use in order to help Rudolph out with expenses. He's moved by these feelings and teases him again about Chiwa, then proceeds to replace the bandages on Rudolph's hands, which are pitch black for an unexplained reason. They also throb in pain and have always been like that since he was a child, but the gloves he wears makes the pain leave. Now, a few people have theorized that maybe there is a soul of some type of energy within the gloves, since they are tattered and we get narration that they're saying of souls dwelling in cherished items, that maybe there could be some interesting things of Ohkubo's assistant wanting to do some Soul Eater inspired power system here, but personally, I'm not entirely sold. What interests me the most is the second part of page 1's quote, which is, "Then what dwells in trash that has been discarded?" The motif here has been trash and treasure, or one man's trash is another man's treasure. So what do things that are tattered, beat up, and used have within them when they are discarded, or even passed down to someone else? I could be reaching, of course, but I think it's a deeper part of the theme here. Cryptically, there's this dude watching Rudolph's house while they are talking. He purposely waited for Rudolph to leave before going inside. That's very clear. And Rudolph does leave, trying to find the courage to go confess to Chiwa. We get mental narration from Rudolph about the abyss being a big dump site, even for people. So if you were sentenced to death, that means you're just dropped into the abyss. Rudolph lucks up and is able to get his feelings across to Chiwa some way, and she finally takes the stuffed animal he took from the dump for her. This conversation is interesting in a way that makes me look at Rudolph as a very intriguing kid. Chiwa says how it's not worth him getting thrown into the abyss going through junk, just because there is a lot that is waste to throw away. But Rudolph doesn't feel that way truly. He believes that there is still value in things and even personifies the stuffed animal, saying he thought it would be happier with her. He's a really thoughtful kid, even for material items. That makes everything else in this chapter absolutely devastating. In his excitement, he rushes back to Rudolph to tell him about his success, but bumps into the mysterious guy who was watching the house earlier. He drops Rudolph's book, grabs it, then runs. Rudolph, none the wiser, goes into Rudolph's home to see him bleeding out with a sword in his chest. Rudolph instantly tries to help, but Rudolph demands he run and tells him that he'll have to change their shitty world. Right after, Rudolph is stunned by cops and they arrest him without even listening to him. How did they even know about the murder so fast? They definitely aren't keeping tabs on these people for safety, so to me, all of this is truly just a setup. Rudolph was then hung up and sentenced to death with no trial. Everyone turns their back on him, even Chiwa, calling him the son of a murderer, dropping the stuffed animal. You can't trust them, these hoes. This sets our boy off and he starts spitting bars to these people. He goes, "You're the filthy ones. You have no will of your own, you pieces of shit. You have eyes, yet you cannot see the trash that you are. Your ears denies the hearing the truth. I'll send you to hell, all of you. Every one of you." Bars? Bars? Okay? He's then dropped straight through the abyss. But it's really insane how that transition works though. We get a double page spread of him falling in between what looks like two skies. There are also some weird dark figure there that looks like it's like walking around like it's his domain. And his eye does that X sharp thing like it's zoned in on. I don't know what exactly happened there, you guys. But it was fantastic to see. The art blew me away. But then Rudolph wakes up on a bunch of trash that looks like modern day technology and looks around to see heaps of trash and a giant monster made of more trash, electric poles, and sewer pipes. To me, it looks like this abyss is actually just a post-apocalyptic modern world, like, like just Earth, just our world, but dystopian. And somehow we got turned into some trash heap. I don't know why or how yet, of course, but it's looking like this manga is going to be a wild ride for all of us. I'm really impressed with the first chapter. It hit everything out of the park for an intro chapter for me, and I've seen some spoilers from chapter 2, so be ready for some very, very cool stuff, you guys, okay? But like I always say, it is me, Danchou. I am so glad you have made it here. I'm so glad you have come back if you've been here before, and I hope you guys follow Gachiakuta with me, and you guys just keep up with this content I do and with the content of the manga itself, and we can have some fun here. So make sure you hit that comment section below and tell me what you think. Make sure you bring up any theories or ideas that you have. Make sure you join the Gachiakuta Discord server and you hang out with everybody, and you follow me on Twitter at @RakutoKaizen, and you also follow the Gachiakuta Twitter account with an extra A there at the end for all those news and info and updates and stuff of that nature. But like I always say, it's your boy Danchou. Peace.